Welcome to our coffee break with friends at the Dakota Prairie Museum. Today our friend is Bea Premack, a longtime Aberdeen resident and friend of the museum. And welcome, Bea, to our museum. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and today we're going to talk about the Ozfest and its history in Aberdeen and how it came about. Let's talk a little bit about how did the idea start for the Ozfest?
Well, it's a little hard to remember because it was back about 30 years. But I know that we were involved in the beginning quite a bit with Northern and history and working with the history of Aberdeen. And of course, Frank Baum came into the history story. And as I recall, it really started with a lecture series at Northern. And people were very interested, just part of Aberdeen. And of course, the storybook land was in the process of being built. And so there was quite a lot of interest in the connections between the two.
And this was the late 90s, mid to late 90s.
Yes. We started working on the festival in 1994. The first festival wasn't until 97.
97, which we have one of the cards here, the very first Frank Baum, Oz and Beyond, Arts and Entertainment Festival in Aberdeen, South Dakota. And for those who might not know, Frank Baum did live in Aberdeen, South Dakota for a short time in the late 1800s. And he moved from this area shortly before he started his series of Wizard of Oz books.
Right. And he had written several other books as well before he wrote The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
But he lived here. He was a storyteller. He had a store downtown.
Yep.
And what we read, of course, is that as people would come into the store, he would tell stories to the children, and that was something that he did. He was also an actor before that, and unfortunately the store was not very successful. And then he started the newspaper, and with the newspaper, of course, then his interest in Aberdeen and the whole area and the development and so on, there was a lot of information in his newspaper.
Yes. Well, let's talk more about the festival. How did you get involved, Bea?
I imagine that it was because of my interest in the arts and history that this seemed, and storybook land, developing.
So altogether, the Oz Festival had a good timing where Storybook Land was becoming a major attraction, and it was looking for those activities and events that would highlight the space that we have out there.
Yes.
Well then, how did the community get involved?
Committees were established. I was amazed when I started looking in my files with the numbers of people that became involved, the different areas of their involvement, dealing with the history, with literature, with art, with all those things, the music, the acting. And so it was a matter of putting all of that interest together into an event. Yes.
Well, tell me some of your favorite memories from past Oz festivals.
First year, one of the most exciting little deals was that we heard from a family in Germany. They wanted more information. And it ended up that the mother and her son came from Germany for the festival. He was a student, and his interest was literature. He later went to New York University and became an author, a literary person.
Wonderful.
One of the fascinating things too about the festival is that as it was promoted, it became promoted not just as an Aberdeen event, but area, South Dakota, and people from the National Wizard of Oz came to our festival, as well as, of course, Munchkins, who were here. And so we became really part of a national literary and art situation. The history, the literary, the artistic. Because when you get looking at Oz and at the publications of the Wizard of Oz and the publications of L. Frank Baum, it's translated into languages all over the world.
Yes, and you brought some of those books.
Yes, but I have gotten it in quite a number of languages when we've traveled and other people have brought to us.
So let me ask you about, going back to the Ozfest.
Yes.
What do you see for the future?
There would need to be a resurgence of interest in that. It could possibly happen depending on things that go on in Storybook Land, or if someone comes along that says, oh, we shouldn't be passing this up anymore.
Do you think there would be renewed interest?
I don't know why not, because there's an interest, more of an interest now. In my mind, I think it would be wonderful because it does combine so many things in our history, which it could very well be time to do that again.
There was the symphonic event that was going to happen in April at Northern State University for the Wizard of Oz, and in conjunction with that, we have a small exhibit that people will hopefully be able to see in the near future. What was your involvement in that?
Oh, well, I'm very fortunate. I serve on that board, on the symphony board. And so when that became a part of our programming, our calendar, I was able to work with Northern to do an exhibit from my Oz collection. And did find, too, that there were some artists in some art classes who did work. And so I think that if that really happens, that there'll be an interest again in the artwork that goes along. Because when you see the Oz books, there's different artists that have done the work that is so fascinating.
Well, this is just a testament to the community effort, the interest in Baum and Wizard of Oz, and our Aberdeen connection to it.
Well, it's Aberdeen history. And, you know, I'm sure that in today's world, not many people are aware that that's, according to the books, that the tornado that he saw was north of Aberdeen. So, and what was going on during the time that he lived here was what was happening with the farming in our areas. So the book, although it talks about being in Kansas, is really South Dakota history.
It's our history. Aberdeen, Brown County, South Dakota, and that's why the Oz Festival was special. And hopefully we can have another special event again. And I hope, Bea, that you will be involved in that.
Well, thank you very much.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for being a friend of the museum and for your support. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, and seeing you put out displays dealing with Oz from time to time is very exciting for me to come and see as well.
And hopefully everyone else too.
I hope so.
Well, thanks again, Bea.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.